of sweating slaves, how could Shakespeare not have been drawn here? With his golden ringleted earl, the quote, only begetter of the sonnets, the patron whom he dedicated the greatest stroke poem of all time, that book of one hand, as the French say, Venus and Adonis. Venice, then as now, was the city of sex and sin, into which two lusty young men might sail in a great wide-beamed Elizabethan galley, searching for future plots and poetry beneath the golden lion of St. Mark. That is a rather fantastical account of an imagined trip that Shakespeare must have taken to Italy, because we read Merchant of Venice, we read Othello. These plays are set in a city that comes alive. And while there are Shakespeare plays that are set in other places, Measure for Measure is set in Vienna, parts of Othello are set in Cyprus. Commentators for centuries have been reading these plays. No one has said, oh, well, Shakespeare knows Cyprus like the back of his hand. Shakespeare knows Vienna from firsthand experience. And yet, there are dozens upon dozens of studies on Shakespeare in Italy that one can look at and say, wow, Shakespeare really knew this place from firsthand knowledge. He has a character carry this dish of baked doves to Shylock. It's the strangest thing, and it's played as an utter comical moment in Merchant of Venice, and yet this was a local delicacy in Venice. He knew these obscure little details. The Duke of Venice carried 2 votes on the city council. He knew the exact location of this palace on the River Brenta. It is the it is Portia's estate. It exists to this day. And Cheryl, when she approached me in 2006, I wrote a book called Shakespeare by Another Name, and it's the life story of a court poet and playwright named Edward de Vere. And he traveled to Italy. He lived in Venice, and that was essentially his home base for his travels throughout Italy.